I find this word very difficult, Adam. Star. I can't tell you how I don't think of myself as a star. But is there a better verb for what you and I are in No Safe Spaces?
I think we're guides. We're the guides. We guide you through this movie and through this journey. And don't worry about being labeled star. Most of America wouldn't argue with you.
That's very sweet. Okay. Anyway, we co-star in this movie, but of course, Adam Carolla is the most downloaded podcast. Is
Guinness
that correct?
Book of World Records. Yeah.
Still in the Guinness Book for good reason. I hear your voice. My stepson is one of your billions of fans. No, not billions, hundreds of millions. And so I hear you a lot. I come home, I hear you. We all love you with the Prager family. Adam Carolla is one of the great, if not the greatest. Do you like the term comedian?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We always talk about this on and off the air, probably. People say, what do you like? You like podcasting, you like stand-up, you like writing books, you like making movies. And I say, I like putting my ideas into your head. That's all I want to do.
God, are we kindred spirits?
And I sort of like the anonymous part of it, or not the anonymous part, but I never really liked the scripted TV version of putting my ideas in your head because it's more difficult. There's makeup and there's lighting and there's everything else. I think the intimacy of someone physically now wearing earbuds or headset and listening to our voices, literally putting the voice into their head. When I used to do terrestrial radio and people would listen to it in their cars or on their nightstand or wherever the radio was, it was being projected via speaker. But now in this modern era where you're putting the buds in your ears, there's literally no space between your voice and their brain.
Right. That's fascinating. That's true. So, by the way, during this quarantine, we have been watching some movies, and we watched another one. I've watched 3 of your films. The car film. What is the name of that?
Well, I have 3 films on.
No, there's one I haven't seen.
Well, I'll just shoot them down here. Shoot them out. On Netflix, we have. We have the Paul Newman racing doc.
Right,
it's a movie it's about Paul Newman.
It was great.
There's the 24-Hour War, which is the story of Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Ford v. Ferrari.
Okay, that I didn't see.
That one's a good one. There's Carroll Shelby. The thing that I think you would find interesting about the Carroll Shelby story, legendary racer, won Le Mans, made the Cobra, came back with Ford. If you see Ford v. Ferrari, Matt Damon is Carroll Shelby. Think about this concept. Carroll Shelby started his first shop in like 1965, Venice Beach, California. Carroll Shelby is from Texas. He hails from Texas. He came to Los Angeles to have the freedom to do his thing. Can you imagine a time where you start in Texas? I mean, he's a Texan.
Right. And go to California
and
for
he
freedom.
wanted to go to Venice Beach, California, so he could do his own thing, so he could open a shop and build cars. Could you imagine going to Venice Beach, California, and attempting to open a shop to build cars where you have to paint the cars and all the transmission fluids and oils and all? Could you imagine how difficult that would be today?
Yes. I don't have to imagine. So that is look.
I'm sorry. I got on a tangent.
No. Let me just go on that tangent for one moment. Young people today, not even young, I would say even under 40, do not know what America was like when it was truly free. It's an early memory but I remember it. And there was a lightness. That's what it is. There was a lightness to American life. Today it is heavy.
Yeah, I had put a tweet out, I think about a day ago, that's gotten, 1.4 million looks on it. It was a tweet. It said, somebody's told me Gavin Newsom says California won't get back to normal until we find a vaccine. And I wrote, California hasn't been normal in 20 years.
That's right.
And it's more than 20, but I mean, it was relatively normal 20 years ago. It is not. This notion of we're going to get back to what?
That's right, to control. More of your movies.
So, the 24-Hour War, the Newman doc, Carol Shelby American is what it's called. Uppity, first black race driver at
That's my
Indianapolis.
next one. Yeah, that's my next one.
That one is people are giving some nice notices for that one. I made a movie called The Hammer. It's about a boxer, and I made a movie called Road Hard.
That's
about
what we
a stand-up
just saw,
comedian.
Road Hard. Why do you make movies like The Hammer and Road Hard in which you're somewhat of a loser?
It's easier to be likable, and it's easier to be funny, I think, if you're coming from that world.
Oh, interesting.
And I do see when I look in the mirror, I do see the loser. I don't see the winner. Mm-hmm. I've always been that way.
Although I had a feeling that it was more than that. It's a good way to get good lines out. I had for example, in Road Hard, your character gives up comedy to live with a woman you fall in love with in a rural area. Was it Tennessee?
I think it was like Vermont or something.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. You're right. It was Vermont or New Hampshire, right? Your kid went to school in New Hampshire, and there, right?
Something
yes,
like that. Yeah.
Is there a part of you in that at all? Maybe I'd just be happier without the limelight.
Yeah, I don't really look at myself as in the limelight, but I do look at myself as someone who has to go out and generate every day. And there's a part of me that thinks sometimes, hey, just sell all Paul Newman's race cars in a couple of your warehouses and just go somewhere to Texas and put your feet up and learn to fish. And I am going to Texas, by the way, to do stand-up. I'm actually going to be probably the first comedian to travel.
When?
That's going to be the 21st, I think. We can look at May. It's coming a week from Thursday.
And so they will allow people into the theater.
They are opening the clubs. They're going to open them to like 50% capacity.
Right.
And they're going to do whatever the safe distancing and whatever the regulations are. But I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do a bunch of shows at the Houston Improv. I'm going to bring Dan Crenshaw up on stage with me and do a live podcast. So we'll be doing live podcasts and stand-up. And I'm just going to donate all the money to the Houston Food Bank. But I'm still traveling for selfish reasons because I'm going to get a haircut and a steak when I go to Houston. I may even do it at the same time. I'm that committed.
That's an image. I think you should, by the way, and put it up on your website.
I'm definitely looking.
Of you having a steak and getting a haircut at the same time.
I cannot wait.
That is such a great point. Well, when we get back, we're going to talk about the lockdown and so on, and how you react to it.
Oh, I have thoughts.
Yes, I know you do. The listeners certainly know mine.